A tiny German shepherd puppy, just a few weeks old, found himself alone in a vast, open field, shivering from the cold and gripped by fear. Too young to grasp the danger closing in, too fragile to flee, and too innocent to understand his predicament, he stood there vulnerable. Suddenly, dark shadows swept across the sky. Dozens of crows glided overhead, their black wings slicing through the air. They descended slowly and deliberately, landing in a circle around him, their sharp beaks gleaming in the light, and their piercing eyes fixed like those of seasoned hunters on their prey. The little pup let out a soft, whimpering howl and took a hesitant step back, but there was nowhere to run and no one to help. The crows spread their wings and unleashed a chorus of eerie cries as they prepared to strike. Yet, in that heart-stopping moment, something utterly unforeseen occurred. Something shocking and unbelievable that changed everything in an instant. Stay with the story to the end, for what happens next will leave you speechless. The afternoon sun stretched over the field, where golden grass swayed gently in the wind. An unsettling silence hung in the air, with no birds singing and no leaves rustling, just an eerie quiet that made everything feel wrong. In the midst of this desolate landscape stood the German shepherd puppy, his delicate body and soft fur marking him as barely more than a newborn. His ears, not yet fully upright, trembled as he tried to make sense of his surroundings. He didn't belong here. He had no idea how he'd ended up alone or how to escape. For what felt like an hour, he had wandered aimlessly, his tiny paws kicking up dust as he searched for anything familiar. All he found was endless golden grass and an expansive sky. Then, abruptly, the sky shifted. A subtle movement caught his eye. A dark shadow darting across the field, followed by another and another. He lifted his gaze, his pure eyes reflecting the swirl of black wings circling above. At first, he didn't understand. He tilted his head, ears drooping, wondering what these birds were and why they watched him so intently. Soon they began to dive. The first crow landed about 10 feet away, then another and another. Their shiny black eyes didn't blink as they tilted their heads, seeming to whisper secrets and size him up. The pup stepped back again, his tail tucked between his legs. The crows edged closer. One advanced, its claws scraping the dry grass, while another flapped its wings in a silent warning. He let out an uncertain whimper. Though too young to feel fear like an older dog, something deep inside urged him to run. He turned, and that's when the attack began. The first crow swooped down, wings outstretched and talons slashing the air. The pup yelped sharply and stumbled backward as the bird narrowly missed his face. Another dove in, its beak snapping near his ear. Panic overwhelmed him. He tried to bolt, but the crows were everywhere, moving as one, hopping, lunging, and blocking every escape. Their dark feathers rustled like dry leaves, and their cries blended into a chaotic, shrieking symphony. As the pup cowered, trembling, the largest crow beat its wings, rose up, and plunged straight toward him. He squeezed his eyes shut, bracing for the worst, when a deafening growl shattered the air. In a flash, a massive blur burst into the field, a whirlwind of fur, muscle, and power. The crows screeched in terror, their wings flapping wildly as a scarred adult German shepherd charged like a storm, teeth bared and eyes blazing. The pup opened his eyes to see the enormous dog, his deep brown fur glistening in the sun, and his lips curled to reveal sharp, gleaming fangs. The crows attempted to regroup, one daring to lunge at the newcomer, but with a swift motion, the big dog snapped at its wing. A piercing cry of pain echoed, and the rest scattered in a frantic cloud of black feathers. Silence returned to the field. The larger dog stood panting, scanning the sky to ensure the threat was gone, then slowly turned to the pup, who stared in wide-eyed awe, still shaking. After a long moment, the older dog spoke in a deep, firm yet gentle voice. "You're not safe here." The pup blinked hesitantly and took a small step forward. The big dog didn't move away. "You shouldn't be out here alone," the older one added, his tone carrying a hint of care. The pup shrank at the sound, his ears flattening. The dog sighed and glanced around the field. The crows were gone, but sunset was approaching, bringing new dangers like coyotes and strays. "Where's your pack?" the older dog asked. The pup didn't answer. He simply didn't know. He lowered his head, ears quivering with uncertainty. The dog sighed again. "I figured. You're lost, aren't you?" The pup hesitated, then nodded timidly. There was a flicker of recognition in the older dog's eyes. He'd felt that way once. Looking at the pup's soft fur, oversized paws, awkward legs, and the faint outline of his ribs, the dog clenched his jaw. "Come with me," he said. The pup froze, his little paws rooted in place. The big dog, whose name was Rex, glanced back expectantly. "I won't ask again. If you stay here, you won't make it through the night." The wind rustled the tall grass around them. The pup looked around, weighing his options, but with no other choice, he swallowed hard and took a tentative step, then another, until he reached Rex's side. Rex nodded in approval. "Stay close and follow me," he said, turning and walking away. Their journey was slow, the pup's short, unsteady legs struggling to keep up as Rex maintained a steady pace, occasionally glancing back. Night fell, the air, mouse growing colder, and the sounds of distant howls, chirping crickets, and rustling creatures took on a menacing tone. Still, the pup pressed on, his paws padding softly on the earth, unaware of their destination, but grateful not to be alone. After what seemed like forever, Rex slowed. "We've arrived," he announced. The pup looked up and gasped at the sight. A simple, weathered cabin nestled between two massive trees. Its wooden walls were worn by time, and the door hung crookedly on its hinges. Inside, a flickering fire cast a warm glow, filling the air with the scent of dry hay and faint meat. Rex entered first. The cabin was humble. A tattered blanket in one corner, a rusty metal bowl filled with meat scraps near the fire. The pup hesitated at the entrance until Rex called, "Are you coming?" Stepping inside, the pup was enveloped in warmth, his cold fur thawing as he instinctively moved toward the flames. His nose twitched at the stronger smell of food, and hunger gnawed at him. Without a word, Rex nudged the bowl toward him. "Eat," he said. The pup started with a timid nibble, then another. The meat was tough and dry, but to him, it was a feast. Rex watched in silence, then lay down by the fire. "I'll keep watch," he murmured. As the pup ate, he sensed something special about Rex. He wasn't just any stray. He'd survived out here for a long time. For some reason, he was letting the pup stay. The pup, now named Toto, finished his meal and curled up near the fire. For the first time since waking in that empty field, he felt safe. The flames crackled softly, casting dancing shadows on the walls, and their warmth lulled him toward sleep. Even tired, Toto couldn't drift off right away. His dark eyes lingered on Rex, who rested with his head on his paws, ears alert for any threat. Toto had so many questions. Who was this dog? Why did he live alone? And why had he saved him? With a shaky voice, he asked, "Are you going to leave me?" Rex was quiet for a long moment, his ears twitching, before replying softly, "No." Toto blinked in surprise, a wave of relief washing over him. "Good," he murmured, and for the first time since being abandoned, he slept deeply. When the first rays of dawn slipped through the cabin's cracks, Toto awoke, stretching his tiny paws and shaking off sleep. For a moment, he forgot where he was, but the scent of burned wood and Rex quickly reminded him. He yawned and looked around. Rex was already awake, sitting by the door, his broad shoulders tense and eyes fixed outside. Toto hesitated, then approached, feeling the morning chill. Rex noticed, but didn't look down. "It's going to rain," he said. Toto tilted his head. "What's a storm?" he asked innocently. Rex gave a light grunt, amused. "You'll learn soon enough." Outside, the sky darkened, and thunder rumbled in the distance, making Toto's ears perk up. He edged closer to Rex, watching the clouds. Unable to hold back, he asked, "What's your name?" Rex stared ahead for a beat, his amber eyes revealing little, then sighed. "Rex." Toto repeated it softly. "Rex?" Rex glanced at the trees and murmured, "Names don't mean much out here, but that's what they called me." Toto's ears lifted with interest. After a pause, Rex stretched and said, "Come on, we need to find food before the storm hits." Toto wanted to ask more, but something in Rex's tone stopped him. He nodded and followed as Rex moved effortlessly through the trees, barely making a sound, while Toto stumbled over roots and uneven ground. "Stay close," Rex warned, as Toto panted to keep up. Suddenly, Rex halted, his ears rising and nose sniffing the air. Toto froze, following his gaze to a fallen log nearby, where a fresh rabbit lay still. Toto's stomach growled. Rex looked at him. "Hungry?" Toto nodded eagerly. Rex prodded the rabbit. "It's fresh. Eat." Toto hesitated. He'd never eaten like this before. But hunger won out. He took his first bite. The raw taste was strange, yet satisfying. Rex watched quietly, and when Toto finished, he licked his lips contentedly. "You'll survive if you learn," Rex said. Toto felt a warm shyness in his chest as he replied, "I want to learn." For the first time, a slight, almost imperceptible smile touched Rex's lips. "Let's go," he said. As dark clouds gathered overhead, the two ventured deeper into the woods. The first drop of rain fell softly on the dry leaves, then another, until the sky finally broke open in a furious downpour. The wind howled through the trees, making the branches bend and groan. Lightning tore across the sky, followed by thunder that shook the very ground. Toto cowered, trembling, and huddled closer to Rex, who barely showed a flicker of concern. "We need to move," Rex commanded, his voice rising above the roar of the rain. The downpour fell in punishing sheets, soaking their fur and turning the ground into slick, treacherous mud. Toto struggled to keep his footing as Rex guided him through the forest. "Where are we going?" Toto asked, his voice nearly swallowed by the storm. "Somewhere safe," Rex replied. Toto wanted to believe him, but with the storm raging around them, he couldn't imagine anywhere was truly safe. Rex, however, moved as if he had done this 100 times before. Despite the driving rain, his steps were sure, his eyes alert. Toto, meanwhile, was struggling. His soaked fur weighed him down, the wind threatened to buckle his legs, and his breath came in short, ragged gasps. Suddenly, Rex froze. Toto nearly stumbled into the veteran's back, but Rex remained motionless, his ears pricked, his body taut with tension. Toto froze too. Through the drumming of the rain, he heard it. A sound, a movement. Something was approaching. In a low, steady voice, Rex commanded, "Get behind me." Without question, Toto obeyed. Through the thick curtain of rain, shadows began to move, one after another, their yellow eyes glowing in the dark. Toto pressed himself against Rex. He knew what they were. Coyotes. The largest of them stepped forward, its body lean and hungry, its eyes fixed first on Rex, then on the pup. The message was clear. They had found their next meal. The other coyotes fanned out, forming a disciplined semicircle. Rex didn't move. He didn't make a sound. He simply held his ground. Toto swallowed hard, his small body frozen in fear. One of the coyotes let out a low, hungry snarl, and then they all charged. Rex exploded into action faster than Toto could have imagined. Meeting the first attacker head-on, his jaws snapped shut with brutal force, drawing a yelp of pain, but the others didn't hesitate. Rex spun, dodged, and bit with the ferocity of a wild thing, his body a blur of raw power as Toto watched, stunned. When one of the coyotes managed to get too close, Toto, without thinking, dropped and rolled, narrowly escaping its lunge. The coyote slipped in the mud, and in an instant, Rex was on it, sinking his teeth deep into its shoulder with a guttural growl. The wounded coyote let out a sharp cry and retreated into the woods. One by one, the others followed, and when the last one had vanished into the darkness, silence fell over the clearing once more. Rex stood still, his breathing heavy, his fur on end. A small gash marked his side, but he paid it no mind. Instead, his gaze fell upon Toto. The pup, still panting and trembling, felt a gentle nudge from Rex's snout, a rare gesture of respect. "You did good, kid," Rex said. Toto blinked in surprise, his tail giving a single, tentative wag. "Let's go home," Rex said. Side by side, they walked back through the forest, the cool scent of the past storm still hanging in the air. Toto felt different. He was no longer weak, or lost, or afraid. He wasn't just surviving. He was learning, growing, becoming something more. The next morning, the first rays of sun pierced through the cracks of their makeshift shelter, casting golden stripes on the ground. The storm had passed, and the air smelled of damp earth and pine. Toto awoke, the aches of the previous night still lingering in his small body. He saw Rex sitting at the entrance, his imposing figure silhouetted against the dawn, ever watchful, even in rest. Noticing the pup's movement, Rex murmured, "Good. You're awake." Toto sat up, stretching, his fur still damp. Rex rose, extending his powerful muscles. "Time to go," he announced. "Where are we going?" Toto asked, his ears perked. Rex gazed toward the horizon. "I'm going to teach you how to survive." And so, they set off. The first lesson came without warning. Rex stopped abruptly, his ears twitching. He lowered his body, moving silently through the grass. Toto tried to mimic him, though his clumsy paws stumbled and his breathing sounded far too loud. Rex shot him a brief, stern glance, and then Toto saw it. A rabbit, just a few yards away, nibbling on some leaves. Rex went utterly still, his eyes locked on the small animal. Then, in a single, fluid motion, he lunged. It was over in seconds. His jaws closed around the rabbit's neck with practiced, deadly precision. Toto watched, awestruck. He had seen Rex fight, but this was different. This wasn't a brawl. It was survival. Rex dropped the rabbit at the pup's feet. "Eat," he said. Toto hesitated. "Food isn't always offered," Rex stated, his tone flat. "If you don't take it, something else will." Toto swallowed and hesitantly took his first bite. It was raw, warm, and real. For the first time, he truly understood. Rex gave a slight nod of approval. "You will learn," he said. Toto looked into Rex's eyes. "I want to learn." Rex studied the pup's gaze for a long moment. Then, for the very first time, a genuine, though faint, smile graced his features. "You will learn," he repeated. The rest of the day was dedicated to training. When the sun finally set, leaving the sky in soft shades of orange and blue, Toto's legs ached with an exhaustion he'd never known. But something new burned inside him. They returned to the shelter beneath the hollow log, and Rex settled near the entrance, watching the forest darken. After a long silence, Toto finally spoke. "Who taught you how to fight?" Rex was quiet for a moment. "My father," he finally answered, his voice low. Toto blinked. Rex had never spoken of his past. "He taught me everything. How to fight, how to hunt, how to survive. And then he was gone." Toto swallowed. "Where did he go?" Rex's jaw tightened. "It doesn't matter." Toto wanted to ask more, but something in Rex's tone stopped him. Instead, he curled up against the hollow log. He was no longer just a stray, an abandoned pup. He was learning, growing, and deep in his chest he knew he was no longer alone. Later that night, something woke him. Not a sound, not a movement, but a feeling, a shift in the air. His eyes snapped open. Rex was gone. Panic flared in Toto's chest. He scrambled to his paws, sniffing the air desperately. He bolted toward the entrance, and then he heard it. A low, distant growl. Without a second thought, Toto ran. He found Rex in a clearing, surrounded. This time there were more of them. Perhaps 6 or 7 coyotes, their eyes glowing with hunger. The largest one stepped forward, its teeth glinting in the moonlight. "You should have left when you had the chance, it's null." Rex remained unmoved. "I don't run." The pack surged forward. Rex exploded into action, but the attacks kept coming, one from the back, another aiming for his legs. For the first time, Toto saw Rex falter. He was frozen for a heartbeat, knowing Rex couldn't win this alone. Then something ignited inside the small pup. He didn't think. He didn't hesitate. He launched himself at the nearest coyote, sinking his teeth into its ear with all his might. The coyote shrieked, and for a split second, Rex's eyes met his. And then, they were fighting side by side. Toto dodged and snapped, moving on pure instinct, while Rex fought with the precision of a seasoned warrior. One by one, the coyotes began to fall back. When the last one had fled into the darkness, the clearing fell silent. Rex stood, breathing heavily, a fresh gash on his side. He ignored it. Instead, He walked to Toto, who was panting and trembling, and gently touched his snout to the pups. It was a rare, profound gesture of respect. "You did good, kid," Rex said, his voice rough with exhaustion. Toto's tail gave a single, tired wag. Rex looked at him, a new light in his eyes. "Let's go home." As they disappeared among the trees, the night seemed a little less dark. Against all odds, little Toto had survived. He had found strength, a purpose, and a mentor. Rex had saved him, it was true. But in the end, in that clearing under the moon, Toto had also saved Rex. The bond forged between them in the wild, built on courage and instinct, was only the beginning of their journey.